Risk of Rain 2 has hit the ground running, averaging over 20,000 players daily, but can Hopoo Games navigate the tricky waters of early access to a successful launch? My name is Codiak, and today we'll dive into Risk of Rain 2's roadmap and take a peek at the future of this promising game. Everyone knows that early access can be a clown car of ridiculousness. Pull the trigger too early with a game that's less than half-baked, and you end up pushing away potential fans. But ignore early access and deny your company the hype and troubleshooting required to pull off a successful launch. It's a tricky situation and one that few companies manage to execute perfectly. The team at Hopoo Games has hit the ground running with Risk of Rain 2, the spiritual successor to their original indie hit, Risk of Rain. The team's bold decision to change player perspective was a leap of faith, but it's paid off massively with a huge early access launch and subsequent buzz surrounding the game. Recently, the team released their early access forecast, which gives players some date-specific goals for new content ahead of launch, which is officially slotted for spring 2020. As it currently stands, we have 6 survivors in the game: the Commando, Huntress, Multi, Artificer, Engineer, and Mercenary. But over the course of the 5 content updates, the team plans to introduce 4 new survivors into the mix. Now, as many of you may know, the original Risk of Rain featured 11 total survivors, and it's a good bet that we'll see some or all of the survivors eventually in Risk of Rain 2. The Bandit has already been seen in some streams, and it's a good indicator that he will make it into the game sooner rather than later. Looking back at his abilities from the original game, he looks to have a relatively explosive kit, which should give gunslingers another survivor to hang their hat on. One of the hallmarks of the Bandit was his ability to shoot as fast as a player could click, so we'll have to wait and see if that makes it into the game. Besides the Bandit, other survivors like the Miner could make an appearance. With only one true melee character as of this video, it's very likely we'll see another melee thrown into the mix. Of course, there are other survivors like the Enforcer with his short-range protect and serve gameplay, the Sniper who kills from afar with deadly accuracy, and the Chef with his delicious and ridiculous kit, and all could eventually make it into Risk of Rain 2, but for now we'll just have to wait and see. Besides new survivors, Risk of Rain 2 will also be getting 3 new stages and 1 new final stage. At this point, it's hard to compare the original game with the sequel because of the perspective change, but it's safe to say that the team has pretty much approached stages from the ground up and created new experiences for players. The original Risk of Rain featured 11 stages with a definitive end stage, so there is plenty of room to grow for Risk of Rain 2. Of course, if you're already playing Risk of Rain 2, you know that new items and equipment are coming like a freight train. All those question marks in the codex will eventually be replaced with new items, which is always something to get excited about. There are a ton of items from the original game that the team could carry over, like the Fireman Boots, which leave a trail of fire behind the player, or the Ancient Spear, which upgrades each survivor's 4th ability. There are so many items the team could carry over to augment the Risk of Rain 2 experience, or they could say screw it and design new items from scratch, leaving us all with some new items to explore. Now, the final 2 big picture things I want to talk about are Skills 2.0 and Artifacts 2.0. We don't know much about Skills 2.0, and I hate to speculate, so I'll just say that this update is coming later in the early access development cycle, and that could mean that some of the moves in the game currently could get a refresh or update based on community feedback. It could also mean moves just get straight up reworked and new abilities replace existing ones. We'll have to keep an eye out for those changes as we head towards launch. In terms of artifacts, Risk of Rain fans will know all too well how these can drastically change up the game. For those of you that don't know, artifacts were hidden items in the first game that, when picked up, changed something about the gameplay. For example, Command was an artifact that gave players the ability to choose which items they wanted to purchase. Others, like Origin, caused imps to invade the map every 10 minutes. These artifacts were often combined to create situations that benefited players looking to reach an optimal build. There is still no information about what artifacts will make it into the game, but we do have at least a baseline to start from. The team at Hopoo Games has laid the foundation for an exciting launch and has already won over the hardcore fans with their polished early access title. Of course, Hopoo is also focused on making the player experience as good as possible, with attention to matchmaking, localization, and performance issues. With the ground firmly beneath the team, I'm optimistic about the future of the game as we head towards the first major update in June 2019. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at the Game Gurus, thanks for watching, and play on.